Trump Jr. Get him reelected too, folks! Oh man, Ohio! How are you doing? Oh, it always feels so good to be here. Man, I like that energy. That doesn't feel like a second place finish to me, does it? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Congressman Johnson, thank you so much for the incredible introduction. I love when we first met at an airport, we were just talking. I didn't even know, and now I have 2 and 2 together, and I want to thank you for being in the fight with us. So remember, guys, we also need to get the House back. We got to send Nancy Pelosi back home. Right now, Nancy, it's terrible, right? I call her Marie Antoinette of the 21st century, right? She'll make rules that you have to live by. She'll shut down your business. You must socially distance. You must do whatever she says. She doesn't have to do any of those things. Right? Remember that? Oh yeah, you remember this, right? Yes. She got set up by her hair salon. Nancy Pelosi is third in line to the nuclear codes. No. And she was set up by her hair salon. How do you think she would do against Putin? You know, in all fairness, if you're getting set up by your hair salon, no, it's not good, right? No, it's a disaster. I mean, think about it, seriously, but more importantly, rather than when she got caught, rather than just saying, okay, you know what? I made a mistake. I'm a hypocrite. She went out and doubled down and blames the salon. You can't make this stuff up, but we're seeing a lot of hypocrisy these days, right? Look at Joe Biden. Hey, this whistleblower just came up with one hell of an October surprise for Joe. We can officially say that Joe Biden is the most corrupted person to ever run for the presidency of the United States now. Joe Biden is the most compromised person to ever be in the running for the United States. Hunter's partner came out and said, Joe knew all about it. I sat with him for an hour, I talked about it. By the way, this is the guy that voted Democrat, he's Hunter's partner. But even he's saying, man, as an American, these people are compromised. Now think about it, guys. And I take this one a little bit personally. I take it personally because these people spent 3 years trying to put me behind bars. Right? They spent 3 years accusing me of doing all of the things that Hunter was actually doing. Times about 1,000. Right? They didn't. Oh yeah. Well, by the way, something has to happen. They've been bought and paid for. You know, the new excuse is, well, the payments, they're not on Joe Biden's tax returns. Oh, yeah. We're gonna put it under bribery. Yeah, probably in an S-corp somewhere. Let's see all those. Or maybe Jim Biden has it. He's part of the crew. Hunter H is holding 10 for the big guy. You think if there was an email when they were pulling the Russia hoax stuff with Don Jr., you think if there was a Junior is holding 10 for the big guy, you think that would have to be fact-checked? Do you think they'd say, well, other than multiple witnesses on the emails now coming forward and saying they're true, the media is still pretending we can't verify this information. You didn't even try to verify the Russia hoax. You just ran with it as though it was the gospel. You didn't even attempt. It's crazy, right? Biden campaign, for 5 days, they don't say anything. They don't even deny it. So the media say, well, no one's, They asked the Biden campaign, finally one person in the media had the guts to ask the question. And the rest of the media attacked the guy for asking the question, doing his job. The same media that went nuts and got their panties all in a bunch every time Donald Trump correctly called them the fake news is now attacking the news. Because they'll do anything. They'll do anything to protect Joe Biden and the Democrats. The reality is this, guys, it's not just Ukraine. How about the $3.5 million from a Putin associate? Money that was so dirty it wouldn't come to U.S. banks because it was tied to human trafficking and prostitution rings. That's the Biden family. That's Hunter Biden. You think that Vladimir Putin doesn't have other compromising information on the Bidens? You think that the richest woman in Moscow, a known Putin associate, by the way, you don't become the richest woman in Russia, really, without being a known Putin associate. You know that, right? That's how it works. You think that they hired Hunter for his investment prowess? We've seen the pictures, guys. I don't know many great investors that return rental cars with crack pipes in them. I don't think so. But it didn't stop there. It didn't stop there, folks. Then, oh, you want me to do China? Ask and ye shall receive, sir. You think the Chinese government gave Hunter Biden $1.5 billion? Let me say that again so it's clear. Billion with a B, as in boy. Because he was a great investor. You know what that means in a fund, right, guys? In a typical fund, you get 2% management fee, 20% of the profits. Get rid of the profits. Let's assume that Hunter Biden is as good an investor as Joe Biden is a public speaker. Let's assume there's zero profit. 2% management fee on $1.5 billion is $30 million a year. A year, annual, not one time, to the Biden family. You think that Joe's gonna be tough on China? You think that Joe's gonna be tough on any of these people that I'm sure have these compromising information? Because what's amazing is this. Imagine how much more there is, right? Imagine if the media put in the same amount of diligence that they did trying to pin this BS on us. Imagine a few of them, even a few bothered to even look. Imagine what more they would find, because they've had nothing. They've basically attacked the journalists who've put out this information. So they don't even want to look, right? Facebook says, well, we're not going to put it up because we don't like the New York Post. The New York Post is the second largest, oldest newspaper in New York. It's the oldest continuously running paper. It's 200 years old. And Facebook says, not because it went through their phony fact check process, right? Which is, let's give it to a liberal organization, and if they find a misplaced comma, it's going to be fact check false. They didn't do that. They just said, we're not going to link to it, period. Think about what that means. You have arguably the most compromised individual in the history of the US presidency running, and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and probably Google and all the others are actively trying to make sure that 2 weeks out from an election that no one in America sees this information. Again, remember, the Biden campaign didn't deny it. They came out, remember what they said? Well, the meeting, it wasn't in our official calendar. Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so shocked it wasn't. You mean he didn't write down, meet with billionaire corrupt Ukrainian oligarch who's paying Hunter millions and holding millions for me? That wasn't in the official calendar. I'm shocked to hear it. But what the media do? It's not in the official calendar. Oh, okay, great. Let's go peddle the Russia collusion hoax. Right? Then, well, that's true. Then they start doing, it's a Russian disinformation campaign. You saw that, right? That's the old standby. Oh, it's Russian disinformation. Adam Schiff and the usual clown, cadre. The tinfoil hat brigade, Adam Schiff and those guys. They came out there, oh, it's Russian disinformation. The director of national intelligence and the FBI, and in all fairness, let's face it, the FBI leadership isn't exactly pro-Trump. Even they Even they said, there's no evidence of this whatsoever. But that doesn't stop CNN and MSDNC and all of those groups from running this as though it's the gospel. They still did it, right? Again, the FBI even said it. And in all fairness, the FBI is the same group who investigated us for 4 years, who last month all magically forgot their cell phone passwords. 27 of them. Raise your hand here if you've ever entered the wrong password into your phone so many times so as to delete it. What do you think the statistical probability is that everyone in the FBI on this investigation, 27 high-level lawyers and investigators, all forgot their iPhone password? All the phones magically were on airplane mode so that everything on there is now gone, never to be seen again. Yes, it is. I'm not allowed to say it, but I'm going to agree with you on that one. It's bullshit! All right? We gotta call it how we see it. We call balls and strikes here, folks. What do you think would happen if Donald Trump Jr., when they were trying to railroad me, what do you think would happen if I go, hey guys, I'm so sorry, I deleted my iPhone, I forgot the password. I'd be in jail. I'd be doing this rally, I'd call the congressman, I'd say, Congressman, can you put your iPhone up to the speaker? It would not be playing Despacito. And I would say, Congressman, I'd be feeding quarters into a payphone at Rikers Island Prison, doing my darndest to not drop the soap. Hey, balls and strikes, folks. You gotta call it how it is. That's how I'd be doing this, but they can get away with it. So when the FBI, that's that broken, that corrupted, that knew about it, that worked with a Russian agent, we now know this, to help the Obama-Biden administration with the CIA. They worked with a Russian spy. We actually have real Russia collusion. But now that we have it, but it's for the Democrats, no one has any interest anymore. It's amazing how that works, right?
Amazing.
It's amazing. You can't make this stuff up, guys. And we've been dealing with this now for 4 years. But what's amazing is, Donald Trump still delivered for the American people. Despite more incoming BS, more incoming nonsense, more hate and vitriol from the Democrats and from the media, and that's really one and the same. So if I say Democrats or media, just assume I mean both at this point, because that's what it is. But no president has ever taken that amount of incoming. All wrong, all lies, and he's still got it all done. Imagine what he could do if we send Washington, D.C. a mandate. If we get back the House with guys like Bill Johnson who will fight for us. If we hold the Senate. But this time, rather than last time in 16 when you had Paul Ryan, not exactly a strong leader, right? I want a guy in there on the Republican side who's not a squish. Right? Who's not afraid of the Democrats, who's willing to fight for what we believe in, and that's not Paul Ryan. But if we get it now, we can actually win. We can send that mandate. We can get things done for the American people, and that's what Donald Trump has been doing. You guys all saw that, right? I mean, you see what we are up against. This election is Americans versus algorithms. It's hard workers versus big tech. You see that? They're literally censoring free speech and the media. You know, I always know that with the Democrats, your Second Amendment is always on the table. It's always at risk. But man, honestly, in the last 5 days, and I never would have thought I would say this, your First Amendment is on the table this election, guys. If the Democrats win, they let big tech continue to do whatever they want, and you know it. If you're pro-2A and you're vocal about it, because I know I am, if you're pro-life, if you're Christian, more religious liberties? Hey, raise your hand if you think you've been censored by some of the social platforms. Have you ever noticed that no one on the left has ever been censored by them? No one else has ever been shut down, deplatformed, demonetized, censored, thrown off, locked out, thrown in Facebook jail. Have you ever noticed that? It only goes one way. But the Democrats, they're going to let that go because they don't care how they win. They'll let Joe Biden run. Joe Biden let Joe Biden run, knowing all this stuff with Hunter. Think about that. Think of how sick you must be. Because I know, and maybe they're just used to not getting checked out because they're the Democrats, so no one's going to look into you. We wouldn't get that same benefit because we didn't. Maybe they just assume they're never going to look, but think about how deranged you are to have done all of those things, to know about it, to know about the issues, and to run anyway. Imagine putting your family through that, knowing that. That's the arrogance that we hate about Washington, D.C. It's like similar arrogance to when Joe Biden says, well, now I'm going to fix things. Why'd you wait 47 years, Joe? No, seriously. You guys are common sense people, and that's the only thing not so common in Washington, D.C. is sense. Right? But if you had someone working on your business or working on your home, trying to fix something, and after 47 years, it was still broken, would you give them a promotion? No! You wouldn't. You'd fire their ass. Right? And that's what we have. Joe Biden's going to fix things now. Man, that's one hell of a long warm-up. No, seriously, well, you don't understand. I mean, listen, and the congressman knows this all too well, right? There's people, they get up on the floor, it takes them a second or two to get into their rhythm, sometimes even a minute or two. You know, you give me the mic, 2-3 seconds, I get loosened up, and I'm sort of in my mode. I'm in it, it's fine. 47 years? No, seriously, Joe Biden's, he's gonna fix, this was the one I heard last week, it was sort of amazing. He's gonna fix racial tensions in this country. No, it's a noble cause, it's a noble cause. Why'd you wait? Half a century. Why were you buddies with every segregationist to ever walk the halls of Congress? Why'd you say things like, I don't want my kids going to school in a racial jungle? Why'd you push for busing? I mean, his own VP called him a racist. Right? We all know that. I got thrown off Instagram for saying that. I go, but wait a minute. I had my guys call. I was like, what the hell? You threw me off for saying that? She didn't say he's a racist. I go, did you listen to the debates? Remember that? That little girl was me. You know, listen, no. It would have been a wonderful story if it was someone other than Kamala Harris delivering it, right? No, I mean, she's just so phony. Put it this way. I could have done a better job delivering that exact statement, including the little girl is me. Oh, how dare you assume how I identify? How dare you? That's the priority of the left these days, guys. You know, the 937 genders that no one can actually name. No, and I get it, because in this part of the country, you know, Democrats used to represent you. They used to be for the hard-working men and women of this country. They did a good job of that. This Democrat Party has left you. It is not the Democrat Party anymore. It's the Democrat Party in name only. This is not your grandparents' Democrat Party. It's not even your parents' Democrat Party. That party is long gone. This party is the Bernie Sanders Socialist Marxist Party, and that's why they like Joe Biden. Because they can utilize him as the camouflage to bring in Kamala Harris, to bring in the radical agenda. I hear it every day. Every day. Well, it's blue-collar Joe Biden. Blue-collar Joe. From Scranton, he's blue-collar Joe. Moderate blue-collar Joe, right? I mean, they try to come up with every adjective in the world to make him seem like he's not a radical. But the reality is this. You're not blue-collar Joe, Joe. You've been a senator since your 20s. You've been in Washington, D.C. in the governorship for 47 years. For perspective, folks, I am old as dirt. I was -5 when Joe Biden got into the U.S. Senate. Think about that for a second. I was -5 when he became a senator. But he's gonna fix it now. And you're gonna hear from the media that's functioning as the marketing arm of the Democrat Party, you're gonna hear, moderate blue-collar Joe for the next 11 days. Guess what? You're not blue-collar Joe. You've been in Washington, D.C. forever. You left Scranton when you were like 9. I've spent more time and lived in Pennsylvania longer than Joe Biden has. No, I did. I went to school there for 9 years. I have a place there. I spend my weekends up there in Northeast PA. But they... Oh, I like it. All right, so we're opposite side of the state, but you're sort of close to, southwestern PA. So I spend my time in the Northeast. That's where I do all my shooting and my hunting and my fishing. I have a long history there. Yeah, you do. Yeah, it's bigger than what I got over there, that's for sure. But he's not blue-collar Joe. I will say this with a straight face to a blue-collar crowd. I'm the son of a billionaire from Manhattan, and I have had more blue-collar jobs than Joe Biden. Think about it. Think about it. Remember, unlike Hunter and Joe, we were actually business people before we got into politics. That's what we did. We built buildings. And my father's theory was always, if you ever want to build a building, you better damn well know how to do it yourself. You got to start with the foundation. So he threw us as kids, me and my brother, on D10 Caterpillars. We were digging foundations. We were running chainsaws. I'm the only, I think the two of us are probably the only sons of billionaires that can drive a D10. Because he made us do it. Because he didn't say, no, you can't just watch someone. You better know how to do it yourself. Because that way you know how long it actually takes. That way you don't get taken advantage of. That's the mentality why we're winning, folks. So, not so moderate Joe, let's talk about that for a little bit, because, I hear about it all day long, and every TV set in America is hearing that message about moderate Joe, but guess what? You're not moderate Joe with Kamala Harris as your VP. She's left of Bernie in the United States Senate. That's not a moderate position. You're not a moderate with Beto, hell yeah, I'm gonna take your AR-15 as your gun czar. All right, that's not a moderate position on the Second Amendment, and neither is taxing your AR-15 and taxing your magazines. And I got a lot of magazines, so I'm hoping we don't have to pay that tax that Joe Biden wants to implement. No, they want to get rid of online ammo sales, anything. They're going to do the mandatory buyback. I go, that doesn't work that way. It's not a buyback if you never owned it in the first place, government. These aren't moderate positions, but you're really not a moderate. Utilizing Bernie Sanders' socialist Marxist platform and making it your own. That and the Green New Deal. That's not moderate. That's a $4 trillion tax hike. And they say, no new tax hike. Oh, excuse me. You said, on moment one, you're eliminating the Trump tax cuts. 85%, mid-80s of Americans got almost $2,000 savings from that alone. So you eliminate that, that's a tax hike. The fact checkers aren't going to go into those details, right? Just like they wouldn't go into details about the debate commission and that moderator that was a Joe Biden intern that then was sending what he thought was DMs but were tweets out in the open to never Trumpers. How do I get Trump? Then he lies and says he was hacked. And I said, well, if you were hacked, that's election interference. Maybe it's the Russians. Why didn't you call the authorities? So I sort of called his bluff on that one. 2 days later, he got fired, finally. Now tonight you have another moderator that's an Obama admin person. I mean, let's not kid ourselves, guys. The deck is stacked. The deck is stacked against us. Because you are who my father did this for. My dad didn't need this job, folks. Unlike Hunter and Joe, my dad was rich before politics. He could have done whatever he wanted. But he got in this fight for us, for our kids, for our freedoms, for our values, for this country. He was sick of people that couldn't deliver, making promises they had no ability to fulfill, and watching it over and over again. So he threw his hat in the ring. The last thing he said to me, June 16th, 2015, the day he announced, We sort of rode down as a family in the elevator before he did the sort of infamous escalator ride down with Melania to announce his candidacy. He looked me in the eyes and he said, "And now we find out who our real friends are." And truer words have never been spoken, folks. But it shows a couple things. It shows he knew. He's a big boy. Again, won't go through the other 937 genders, but we can do that in Ohio, right? We're still okay here? I live in the People's Republic of New York, and they'd call me a terrible person if I didn't go through them all. That's where we're going. Nuts. Like, it'd be funny if it wasn't so ridiculous, right? Like, some of the times I see the Democrat Party platform and the things they're fighting for, and I'm waiting for, like, Ashton Kutcher to jump out of a cake somewhere saying that I've been punked. But now we find out who our real friends are. It meant he knew. He knew exactly what was going to happen. He knew that, you know, those celebrity folks, the Hollywood types, some of the rappers, you know, that he was in what, like 135 rap songs prior to this? You know, in a good way. All those people, the second he put that little R next to his name for Republican, they'd be gone. They'd forget years of friendship, things that he had done for them. That would be gone. He knew all that, but he did it anyway. He did it anyway. Again, because it's worth it. Because we're worth fighting for. So remember that. Thank you. Thank you. Donald Trump's gonna keep fighting for you. You elected a fighter, and guess what? That's what you got. It's why we're getting results. It's why we're getting things done. It's why we're pulling out of the endless wars. It's why we're now finally permanently funding the task forces to stop human trafficking and the child sex trade. It's sort of hard to believe for me that a problem like that, a problem as old as time, Donald Trump is the first guy to act on it? Because you have someone that's willing to tackle those norms. We're getting peace deals done in the Middle East, guys. Seriously. I mean, that's like the holy grail of geopolitical politics. And guess what you hear about it? Nothing. Right? The week that that was announced, they spend more time fact-checking my sister's RNC speech. Because she brought up a little story about her 3-year-old son, Theo. Little Theo built his grandfather a Lego White House. There's pictures. But she told, you know what I'm talking about, right? Right. So she told a story about Theo. It's just a little anecdote. It's part of her speech. And you saw the media. Oh. You see, like, Rachel Maddow's veins are bulging out of her forehead. She's about to have an aneurysm, like Joe Biden. True story. True. She's about to have an aneurysm. Oh, we must finish this kid. He's 3. So, rather than talk about Middle East peace, rather than talk about the accomplishments of the administration, did he do it by himself? Chill out, man. He's 3. He probably had some help. Like, you kidding me? You know what I'm talking about, right? They spent more time trying to cancel a 3-year-old than they did talking about Middle East peace. Not 1, not 2, but 3. And I have to throw in a disclaimer. 1 was Kosovo, so let's call it different region, same problem, right? But I don't want to be called a liar by CNN when they say, nope! It wasn't 3 peace deals in the Middle East, it was only 2. But we should be used to this by now. We saw what they did to Brett Kavanaugh. The lies. They would do anything. Let's ruin his life. Let's destroy his family. We'll go after his 2 young daughters. It's all a lie. Right? That was Michael Avenatti, Democrat hopeful.
He's in jail. Loser.
See, the MAGA stands for Michael Avenatti got arrested. Democratic presidential hopeful Michael Avenatti that CNN said, we're really excited about, a guy that's basically, I think he's in jail or out on, whatever, awaiting trial for stealing $5 million from a paraplegic client of his and for defrauding Nike or extorting them. That was their Democrat hopeful. And that's the guy that was leading the charge against Brett Kavanaugh, bringing fake witnesses. And what happens? Nothing. Right? Because the swamp protects the swamp. And Donald Trump is attacking the swamp. Donald Trump is draining the swamp. But guys, don't ever say that again, ma'am. Then me. Let's get through this one first. All right, let's get through this one first, okay? We'll talk 2024 in a couple of years, okay? If you get us a big win, we'll talk, okay? It's a great compliment, but a total disaster. Right? I like life too much. I've seen what these clowns will do, but then again, it's always nice to have someone willing to actually fight. So Donald Trump is taking on the swamp, but the swamp has teeth. They're not just going to go away. Look what they're doing to save their candidate, Joe Biden, because they want to get back to business as usual. They want January. They want Joe Biden to be sworn in as presidency because that's the piggy bank, folks. Same piggy bank Hunter's been going to and probably everyone else. And Joe's brother, same kind of thing. Hey, I want the Burisma job. Just give me 83 grand a month for a job I know nothing about in a language I don't speak. That's come on, raise your hand if you want that job. Again, if you were a Democrat, no problem. If you're a Republican, you go to jail. That's the difference. So we need your help, guys. Donald Trump built the strongest economy America has ever known. He's the guy that can do it again. Donald Trump created the lowest level of unemployment in the history of this country for every demographic in existence. He's the guy that can do it again. Donald Trump renegotiated the disastrous failed policies of Joe Biden. Don't forget, Joe Biden was a fan of every trade deal, every disaster that sent your job, whether it's manufacturing or otherwise, that sent your American dream to China, right? He supported NAFTA. He doubled down on NAFTA. He tripled down on it, quadrupled down it. That did more damage to the American dream than any piece of legislation in American history. And Joe Biden owns that. He's not going to fix it now. He did the same with TPP, and that sent your jobs to Asia. He then pushed for China's permanent status in the World Trade Organization, and we know what that ended up being. Don't believe that he's going to be the guy to fix this for blue-collar America. Donald Trump renegotiated those failed trade deals. He gave us the USMCA. He got a trade deal done with China. Donald Trump's the guy that's going to hold them accountable for the scourge. You think there's a reason that Joe Biden refuses to blame China? For the Wuhan flu? Yeah, it may have to do with that $30 million that Hunter got. Yeah, you know what it is. It's the moolah! He said it's racist to shut down borders from the epicenter of a deadly viral outbreak. Think about this. At what other point in history would that not just be common sense? For example, man, if you had the flu, I'd say, hey, give me an air high five from a distance. I don't want to come near you. Right? You don't say, no, come over here. Give me a hug. What's the worst that could happen? That was Joe Biden, right? You're racist and xenophobic. No. He's just afraid to stand up to China because he knows what they have on him and his son. They will manipulate. You think the Chinese aren't going to use that? They shut down travel to Beijing and to Shanghai, their biggest cities, from Wuhan. But they allowed travel to go on to the rest of the world. You think they wouldn't leverage Joe Biden and his son for their gain? Because if you think that, you haven't been watching, folks. But that's why we need you. It's why we need you in this game. It's why we need you in this fight. We need real Americans to stand up, to fight for their freedoms, to fight for their liberties. to fight for our Constitution, to fight for our children and our grandchildren, so we can leave them an America that they recognize. Because if Joe Biden gets in there and he brings in the radical left, you're not going to recognize your country anymore, folks. It's worth fighting for, but we cannot do it without you. You cannot sit this out. You cannot have apathy. You cannot hope that your friends just go and vote. You need to do it. And once you do it, you need to bring your friends to the polls. And you need to call and text your friends. And even post on social media. They're going to censor you, so do it a bunch more times. But we need you in this fight every step of the way. And when you do that, we can make liberals cry again. And we can make America great again. Get out there and let's make it happen, Ohio. Thank you.
USA! 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 USA!